Welcome back to the Loco Experience podcast. My guest today is Zak George, and he is the head coach at Zak George Landscape. Welcome, Zak.
Thank you. Thanks for having me in.
So, just about everybody in northern Colorado has seen the ZGL trucks running around. But for those that don't really know what that means, do
Sure.
you want to just kind of set the stage? What are you guys up to?
Yeah, Zak George Landscaping, celebrating 20 years starting this month.
Oh, congratulations.
Yep, started in 2005 up here, and just kind of been working timeless landscapes. And
You didn't even mention that when I booked you for this podcast.
it's kind of
Your,
wild,
like,
yeah.
20-year anniversary.
Just totally lined up, yeah. Yeah, so it worked out pretty sweet. But yeah, going on 20 years, and really just doing a lot of growth and just keeping going.
And commercial, residential, install, maintenance.
We're 50-50 maintenance and construction,
Okay.
and we do high-end residential construction, commercial construction, and then commercial maintenance.
Okay.
Yeah, so no
So-
residential maintenance.
Pretty near kind of the same general market offerings as one of my previous guests,
Yep.
the Lindgrens.
Yep. Most scalable landscape companies kind of take that same path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of the recurring revenue model plus
Yes.
good project work because we don't want to maintain crappy projects.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So, and like, what's your market territory?
We do the occasional job in Cheyenne, and then we sprawl down to Longmont.
Okay.
Foothills out to Evans. So kind of a decent square.
Yeah, kind of the northern Colorado where all the people live footprint.
Yep. Don't go south of Longmont much. Occasionally for a certain client.
Yeah.
Do a couple jobs in Steamboat. A couple
Okay.
jobs in Estes Park. Yep.
That just
kind
gives
of
you a reason to go up to Steamboat.
it's not bad at all. I don't mind. I happen to manage those projects when we go up there.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And what's your like team? I don't know. Have any? Are you
Yeah.
30, 50 guys? Depending. It goes up and down. Seasonal, probably.
Peak season, we're 100.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yep. We run about 100 at full staff.
Guys and gals, probably.
Yep. Full gamut of people. Running about 45 visa workers now.
Oh wow. Okay.
So you just at the end of the day, we can't make the grass grow in the winter months.
Yeah.
So we need seasonal people to come in, help us. That gives us a legal workforce.
Yep.
And it allows us to have guys that just show up every
And
single
do you
year.
help them with that and stuff too, or is that they kind of get the process?
Yeah, it's a visa program. It doesn't save us any money. A lot of people think that the visa program is cheap labor, and
Yeah.
it's ultimately more expensive. But it's about client experience. So how do we give better client experience every single year
Instead of
after
trying
year?
to hire new people every year and stuff like
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised how many commercial clients are like, I want the truck to park here at the exact same time. I want it mowed every Friday. I want it looking like this. You have to stripe it like that. And in order to do that, you need guys that are consistent and understand the
that.
work.
Right.
And
Well, and
come
probably
back.
communication systems that helps everybody know what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. And the grass grows no matter what, right? So we got to make sure everybody shows up to work every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so you've got different teams, I imagine, like a truck with a trailer and 4 guys is kind of a normal maintenance or service team, or maybe install teams,
Yep.
and then a certain amount of office admin kind of.
Yep. So we use two-man teams all the way up to 4 or 5-man teams on the maintenance side, depending on the size of the properties and the routing. On the construction side, we found that 3 is the smallest, and we go up to 5 or 8, depending on how big the commercial job is and the location vicinity of that.
And
So-
you do mostly in-house, like if there's heavy equipment that you need to dig big holes and things like that, you're doing it, or are you contracting some out?
Yeah, we don't sub out much. We use a few snow subcontractors and a few other small skills that we don't do in-house, concrete, masonry, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
for the most part, we do a lot of it in-house. A lot of the pavers, planting, irrigation
Yeah.
systems, all that
This is
stuff. So
The man stuff for
Yeah.
your whole property.
yeah, the irrigation or the world of landscaping is a little bit like the mechanic world, where in the 80s you just kind of pulled up underneath a tree and worked on your car, and anymore, everything's really automated and
Yeah.
really high tech, and we're using electric mowers and automated mowers and electric equipment, and so it's pretty high tech stuff. These irrigation controllers require pretty smart people to run them. We're using central
Well,
control.
and planning the amount of water, and there's probably sensors that you got to program and stuff like that. I reckon.
Yeah. There's a lot of moving parts to it. So it really takes people with a lot of smarts and
Yeah.
that passion for the industry.
Is the water one of the biggest challenges, like moving the water to the right places to make the landscape do its thing.
Ultimately, Colorado people love green grass.
Right.
So
Well, and even green plants,
green
with
plants.
wood chips in between is okay
Yeah,
too.
yeah, 100%. Yeah. So, and there's been kind of a target on our back as an industry for the last probably 10 years,
Yeah.
really trying to
Why are you planting all this grass?
save water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a resource we can't make more of. So, ultimately, we're seeing more moving and they want to see less water consumption.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's expensive too. Like even 15 years ago in Colorado, it was a lot cheaper to
Yeah.
fill your bathtub than it is
Yeah,
today.
absolutely. Yeah, and that I don't know if you've seen in Southwest Fort Collins, they're looking at 30% rate increase per year for the next 5 years.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, infrastructure's not cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah.
So you got a number of both service and construction teams out there. And then what's the rest of your business model consist of? Kind of the ARAP, kind of billing, office management stuff, maybe some sales?
Yep.
Uh,
I like to ultimately find people that are passionate about the industry as well and let them just do their thing. So we've got
Okay.
managers that oversee the entire maintenance team, the operations team, HR, accounting, things like that. And then we have a couple sales guys, yep, that do design
Okay.
work, design
Oh,
sales.
cool.
We
Yeah,
have
so they're both kind of designers plus sales reps
yeah,
because they're selling their project anyway.
yeah, you're
Oh,
ultimately,
that's way
yeah.
better than having like just a salesperson that's like, let me connect you with our designers.
Yes, ultimately, yeah, yeah.
Sorry to
Keeps
say.
yeah, keeps you. They're ultimately the point of contact from the start of the project all the way to the end.
Yeah,
And clients like that, right? I mean, that gives them a face and someone that they know and they can trust and work with them all the way through the whole project.
sure.
We also have account managers, commercial account managers,
Okay, sure.
and those guys happen to have three guys right now, and they massage those relationships with our commercial clients and ultimately make sure that if
Yeah,
we're under contract on something, people get what they're looking
they're
for.
good. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I just had Pete Gasley on. He had a janitorial business.
Yes.
You know Pete,
Yep.
maybe?
Yeah.
And kind of a little bit similar, right? Like, especially on the service side, the maintenance side. It's like, well, what do you want? I can make your grass look perfect and I could cost this much or, whatever.
I used to think that what we did was difficult until I met Pete, and he told me that all of his people were in at night. He's
Right.
like, all my work gets done in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's a whole level of complexity that I never thought about.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But otherwise, there's a little bit of a customization to every maintenance experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's ultimately what we do is we try to sell people, not sell, but we offer the ability to customize a plan. And I think that's the difference between, a local service versus a national service is we're not a one size fits all. And we just kind of will allow people to adjust based on their needs and fit their budget, and we'll make up a plan that works
Yeah.
well for them ultimately.
Like when you got these designers selling projects, like they're estimators too, basically, right?
Yep.
Like they've just built enough experience, probably almost an apprenticey kind of thing for a while.
Yeah, yeah. We ultimately have to take them in. Usually, we like them to have a little bit of industry experience before we just kind of take them in because you got to really know the ins and outs of the industry, and it's not something you want to dabble with. So we want people that understand the industry, know what they're getting into, and then we kind of start to teach them and educate them on some design principles if they need some tuning up on that, and then we teach them how to do the estimating. And we use an all-encompassing software for our organization from the time they make a phone call in till the final invoice. It's
Oh,
all
really?
tracked, time, labor, materials, equipment, POs, everything comes in and out of one. So the nice thing is we've kind of set it up to help them in work in their favor where they can use this software to help them.
And so is this an industry specific software or something that you've developed over time?
It's more tailored towards our industry. It's a software company out of St. Louis, Missouri, and they built this software originally for a landscape contractor out there a long time ago, and it's morphed into landscaping, and then they also do some port of entry stuff and some other things. But
Oh,
they ultimately
interesting.
tailored this one software specifically for the landscape
Huh,
industry, and
yeah.
it's not cheap, but it ultimately helps us keep
Yeah.
everything organized.
Yeah, well, I imagine that's like the customer journey can be, especially when you're talking residential or commercial, and who's the decider, who signs the contract.
Yeah, and ultimately what it does is it gives us history too.
Right.
So we can see past invoices, we can see when services were completed, we can see who did the service, time of day the service was done. And so, as there for a while when labor was an interesting factor for a lot of organizations,
Yeah.
we had to be able to plug and play as people shifted. And this gives people history. So we can go back to since we started and ultimately pull up how much everyone spent on what and where and how, and
Fascinating.
warranty items. It's helped us clean up a lot of things.
And that's almost your whole source of knowledge for the whole team.
Yeah.
Like I imagine you might use QuickBooks or some other systems in the back of the house, but as far as all your employees are concerned, this is my thing.
Yeah. I would say 80% of the organization runs out of there. And then we have some kind of side softwares and some other things that we use as well, but that's where the majority of everything happens.
Yeah.
And it's cloud-based too. So when COVID hit, we were able to pivot really fast and everyone could work from their truck, work from home.
Yeah, any place you got Wi-Fi.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Interesting.
made it happen.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, and you were probably essential because the grass keeps growing.
Grass grows. Yep, doesn't stop.
On the leadership side, what's your kind of leadership team look like?
Yep. So our executive leadership team, there's 4 of us. We have an HR manager, our operations on the construction side, and then our
kind of customer
operations
service
manager,
delivery,
on
almost
the
on
maintenance side.
Yeah,
Yep.
makes sense.
Yep. So the 4 of us kind of
Yeah.
run the whole organization.
And HR is really such an important thing because even though you've got a lot of returning people, there's still a lot of hiring and stuff to do every year.
Yeah, you got your hiring, your recruiting, compliance, with all these new rules and regulations too. You got sick days and all these things.
Paternity leave and
paternity
stuff.
leave. Yeah, it's crazy. So HR has really kind of helped us. He came on 5 years ago, and he's really helped us kind of elevate the organization.
Right. Well, and understanding what your input costs are.
Yeah.
Because ultimately you're kind of a labor selling and design organization, right?
100%. We sell labor.
So the full ticket price, it's not just their $25 an hour kind of thing or whatever, but it's also this and this and this and this.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and, we want to retain good talent too. So ultimately,
Sure.
you need good benefits, and you need, you got to have all the things, and that's
Yeah,
ultimately
yeah.
where he comes in line, and he does a great job. He's more of a COO for us, and really helps just train the organization, move the organization in the right direction, and keep us going.
So when did you start Zak George Landscaping?
2005.
So that's 20 years.
20
We
years.
just talked about that.
Yeah.
So like 100-ish people peak season. Like what's your growth place from here? Do you just get more market share in that box that we were talking about, or do you go to other communities and offer, or do you just try to stay the same size and
Yeah, I
what's
think
that look like
it's,
for you?
It's interesting. That's kind of been the journey the last couple of years is what does that look like? It was 5 years ago is how do we get to where we're at now? And now it's kind of what's the next step and where's the real growth going to be happening in northern Colorado? For us, I see us probably picking up more market share in the Longmont area on the maintenance side, probably also in northern Colorado on the maintenance side. Construction's pretty agile. They can move and shake and go wherever, but that maintenance, you got to be close to your destination every day.
Totally.
So ultimately they'll probably start to just continue to pick stuff up.
Do you maintain stuff that you haven't built? So you're open to that?
Yep. We do a
Okay.
lot of maintenance on stuff that wasn't built, and the HOA model has only been around for about 40 years or so.
Right.
And so that kind of whole model is pretty new. The metro district's even newer than that. And so we do everything from car washes all the way up to, huge, HOAs, complexes,
greenways
metro
and different
districts.
things like that. Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Yep.
So there's a lot of opportunity probably just capturing, I was thinking to myself between you and Lindgren, there's a couple of kind of bigger companies. Maybe there's some big nationals, or is there what else is the competitive landscape?
Yeah, the big nationals are definitely trying to play in our area. They've tried a couple times in the past, have failed.
Okay.
Our market's just not quite big
I
enough
remember
for 'em.
one of them read something.
Yeah, Valley Crest.
Valley Crest, yes,
Yeah.
they tried hard a few years ago.
Yeah,
but-
that was their second time.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay. Good job. I love David and Goliath stories, man.
They tried to come back in it. They want to come back in a third time.
Okay.
But they're kind of doing some restructuring right now. So we'll see what happens
They're
with
distracted by other.
Yeah, and their stock's getting all kind of chopped up.
Right.
And they got a whole new CEO, and they're trying to shift how
Well,
they do
and
things.
they have to be all concerned about all that kind of stuff, right?
They do.
Like actually being strategic about how do we enter this market, like that's low on their list.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And it's really interesting. Their stock prices are driven by things that don't increase client satisfaction, right? And so it's kind of interesting from the outside how
Talk
important.
more, because that sounds like there's some business insight there.
Yeah, it's we're a service level organization, right? We're a service industry, and we want to ultimately make sure the client's happy. And what they have to do is they're not worried about the client; they're worried about their shareholders.
Sure.
And so they ultimately are trying to drive shareholder value and stock pricing. And so what's important to them isn't necessarily what's a winning recipe for clients. And that can have some backlash. And so we're kind of seeing it up and down the Front Range that, they'll have a real strong presence in one area, and then they may lose some of that presence. And
Yeah.
they're good at some of the things that they do. But then there's other things on the maintenance side that they probably leave some of the market open.
Then outside of that, there's probably lots of 5 and 10 and 20 person companies out there that do mostly service and some light construction or whatever, but they're maybe a little more affordable but less dependable kind of thing. Is that kind of the marketplace?
Yeah,
Or-
we're seeing a big hole in the middle right now.
Okay.
That
So it's onesie twosies and then the biggies.
Yes, yeah. From my perspective, you're kind of seeing that under 5, 7, and is a good number, and then you're seeing big, over 50 people.
Interesting.
That middle just gets real hard. That was probably the hardest years for us. Was that lots of overhead, managers, and you just don't have enough revenue to cover it all.
Right.
And so you've really got to push through that ceiling through either acquisitions or big growth plans or the right people or whatever that looks like to kind of get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to zoom back to that period in your life at some point, but
Yeah.
so to refocus on the looking ahead part, so capturing some more market share.
Yep.
But if it's just a couple of bigs and onesie twosies, you'll have to either geographically expand or just be satisfied being, a dominant business and looking for other things. Would you ever add other services to your client collection?
Yeah, I think for us, we've kind of figured out what works and what goes well. Outside of that, we'd start playing in other people's market, whether it's tree care or some of these other things,
Right,
and that
right.
that just gets super hard for us. So right now, it's probably a 3-prong approach for us. One, can we squeeze the turnip just a little bit more, tighten up on what we got,
Yep.
grow with our existing sources. Ultimately, as our team, is we believe that our desire or demand for our services is higher than we can offer right now.
Okay.
So we can grow through that way, and then possible acquisition. There's this big baby boomer push, right? Everyone's
Sure.
looking at retiring.
Well, and if you're one of those 7-employee landscapes firms and you're 62,
Yep.
that sounds pretty
Yep.
nice.
And some guys, have been running really good businesses for 30 years, and
Yeah.
they just never got real big, and they're good with that, and they still have good accounts. So
Right.
the
Yeah.
acquisition is never off of the table for
Yeah,
us.
well, and in some cases, you can even give them a soft landing. They can have a job for a while
Absolutely.
and stay busy,
Yeah.
because
Yep.
I know we're so healthy now,
Yeah.
right? Like when me and you were little kids, 62-year-olds were pretty old.
Yeah.
Now they're like going to Acapulco and
Yeah,
stuff like that,
totally.
and
Totally.
they don't necessarily want to sell their business at 62 and just be like on the golf course all the time.
Yep. They want to still keep contributing, right? But they don't want to carry some of that risk.
They probably make great account managers and
Absolutely.
things like that.
Yeah.
Maybe designer sales
Yeah.
people and
Yep.
stuff like that. Even.
Yep.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Have you worked with Heinz Irrigation at all?
So we've
know
worked
Nate?
a little bit with Heinz. We've done some of their work. Yeah.
You're an installer for some of their designs or
installer
whatever.
and some of their. Yeah, so they typically get picked up. What I see is they get picked up by the architect firm, engineer firm
Yep.
as a leg for a major project or some sort of project,
Yep,
and then
yep.
we'll come in under the GC level or the hard bid
Here's
level
the specs
and
that
pick it up. Yeah,
Heinz put through or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Great business, man. They've been around.
Seems
a long
like
time.
he's a really interesting philosophical guy as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah. Anyway, I digress.
Nice. Yeah.
But so yeah, I think that makes sense. And then, like, how old are you?
44. Almost 45.
Oh, you look as old as me, kind of. But it's just because you're hairy. I'm 50.
Okay. I'm
Sorry,
getting there. I'm getting there.
You've been running this thing since you were Just a puppy, kind of.
Yeah, 25.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, some hard years. That's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Here.
What was
Yeah.
the impetus? How did? No, I don't think so. You look pretty young underneath that beard, but the beard adds 10 years usually.
Yeah, yeah, it makes me look a little older. So how do we get going? Yeah, we when I started, I grew up in east of Colorado Springs. I was in the tree business, worked for a nursery down there.
Okay.
Went to CSU, graduated, had no idea what I wanted to do, and came up here, worked for another landscape firm for a short stint, and just thought, man, there's got to be a better way to do this.
Huh.
And here we are.
Just here we are.
Yeah. 20
And
years.
so, like, what was the first steps? Like, did you just like make a flyer, knock on doors, like steal customers from your boss? Like,
Luckily, no, none of that. None of that. Luckily, my dad was kind of a business guy himself.
okay.
And he worked for Midas for 30 years, and he had seen what's good marketing, what's bad marketing, and they gave me an old
Here
farm
locally?
in Colorado Springs area.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So that's where you started, Zak
yeah,
George.
yeah, yeah. And then we popped up here right after my wife, now girlfriend at the time, she was going to school. She wanted to go to CSU. That's how we ended up back up here.
Okay.
So, yeah, and
So you kind of went home after college at CSU and figured out Dad helped you kind of get something off the ground.
yeah, yeah. So Dad kind of gave me, here's an old farm truck. It's worth a couple $100, and
Yep.
here's $400 to run an ad in the Coloradoan in Fort Collins.
Yeah, and you can have these old shovels.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then it was kind of just, keep the foot on the gas.
And you already had the skill set from having worked for this tree farm and stuff, or
Oh,
parts of it?
parts of it,
A lot
yeah.
of it was
Yeah.
overpromising and then delivering.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah. That was totally what it was. I had some of the skill set along the way, learned some of it, but it ultimately needed much more honing in. Let's put it that way.
So 2005 was still a pretty salty time. There was probably an over demand and undersupply of landscape construction, especially. Like the
Yeah.
housing market was in that 04 to 07 ish time, burning pretty good.
Yeah, when I first got started, right, I didn't have much of a name, and I was a transplant, so I didn't know.
Right.
I didn't know realtors. I didn't know other contractors. I didn't know GCs. I didn't know anybody. And so as a transplant, you kind of just are grassrooting it, right, getting it
Yeah,
going. So
yeah.
nowadays, you got enough connections, you can put things together.
Were
with enough
you
people.
like residential focused at first then?
100%, yeah, 100% residential focused, yeah, and mainly just renovations, right? Started doing renovations, teamed up with a local
Tuning
designer.
up your
Yep.
system and yeah.
Yep, started doing that, and then there was a kind of a higher profile guy in town, asked me to come over to his house and look at it, and I was there one day, and he goes, "I need you to mow my lawn." And I was like, "I don't mow lawns," and he was like, "Go down to Sears and buy a lawnmower tonight and come back tomorrow." And I was like, "Okay." So there it was. Started mowing lawns.
Okay.
So
And like, is that some of the? Do you share that story? Like who that person was?
it was Pat McGoffrin at the Rio.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know Pat. My connection with Pat started when Black Bottle Brewery was looking for a home. I was
Okay.
the banker. That was my very last banking transaction, was financing Black Bottle.
Yeah.
May it rest in peace.
Yeah.
And Godspeed Verboten, because it's
Yeah.
nice to have a neighborhood brewery in that
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
But it was I got to know Pat because he was effectively interviewing potential tenants for his
Aha,
space
new
there
spot, yeah.
next door to El Monte.
Yes.
And what I hate to say this story because Pat needs to come on this podcast one of these days too.
You
but
should.
he struggled with El Monte for years trying to make that thing work, right?
Yep.
Like it was
Yep.
always it was so good, but it just
Yes.
was never very busy. And I'm sure he never made any money. And sorry for that, you know. And I'm sure he blamed it on the location a lot. And then Black Bottle opened and it was like busy as shit all the time
Yeah.
right away. And it
I
was
know.
to me, I was like, oh, that was probably a nice slice of humble pie.
Man, that corner of town it wasn't there until a little bit later.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Had he hung on just a little longer, but I don't think
So it goes.
It was a tough.
He's fine.
Yeah,
Like,
it was a tough
I'm
tough
sure
deal.
Pat's doing just fine.
Yeah, yeah.
But cool. So he was your first little maintenance client.
Yeah, yeah. He's
Right.
like, "Hey, I need you to mow my lawn." I was like, "All right, here we
He
go."
probably made a lot of introductions
So-
after that.
Yeah, I figured it out and just kept going. Yeah, so I started mowing lawns, and I was like,
Interesting.
"Well, I got one lawn. Now I need to get more." So I
Right.
started
As long as
picking-
I'm going to have a lawnmower,
Yep.
like I can't just run it once a month.
Yeah, I started picking up more. So
And then you eventually dropped the residential maintenance, though.
We did, what year was that? 2013, I want to say.
Okay.
We dropped the residential maintenance. We used to do residential service work, residential maintenance, and it's just hard to offer that real specialized, hands-on approach in a scalable size.
Yeah.
You can definitely do it. There's great companies in town that do residential service work. We just, for us on the scale side,
Yeah.
it just wasn't
Makes sense.
attainable.
I mean, that's one of the challenges of scaling, right? Like you have kind of these different layers of costs and equipment and overhead, and you can do most of your own things on the construction side, but that all comes with a cost. You know?
Yeah.
And you can't be as nimble as that one-man sprinkler maintenance operation that
100%.
keeps 100 clients and keeps them all happy.
100%. Mrs. Smith or Joe Schmo homeowner, they have a specific way they want it, right? And that's ultimately what gets hard is how do you take that information out of your brain, put it down on paper, and then make that to where the tech or whoever's going there can do it exactly as they want it. And ultimately, it's their home. So if they want the lilacs cut at the wrong time of the year, yes, ma'am, that's not what I recommend, but I'm here to help
We
you.
always cut them in May.
Yeah, so it's whatever we had to do. So that's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
why we.
Oh, yeah, and I
got rid of
imagine
that.
your blame was probably overflowing first, right? As you're
Yeah.
building this collection of what people want.
Yeah, it was gets tough quick.
So what was your scaling journey like in the first few years? You grew up to a pretty mid-size, or what was your struggle spot? You mentioned was kind of in that tweeners.
Yeah, I ultimately just lacked understanding, and that's kind of how we ended up somewhat to the size we were. And then we started to pull the reins back and go, okay, now we have a little bit better understanding. But it was just I got to do more work
Just take
to
everything
solve my
that somebody would.
problems, and so we ultimately
If it
were.
meant more revenues, regardless of whether it was a fit or not.
It was bad revenue, some of it for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So we ultimately started, just slowly getting bigger and bigger. '07 obviously hit. That was kind of a weird year
Yeah,
for everybody.
yeah.
We just kind of held flat, did some weird things through that year. And then '08 picked up a little bit more, '09.
Oh, wow.
And then we just kind of kept going. Yeah.
Cool.
Outgrew our space. I was running it out of, I started it like most people out of my dad's rental, my mom and dad's rental in Fort Collins.
Okay.
And then we moved across town, had a half acre, outgrew that, moved across town. So we just kind of started there, and ultimately, surrounding yourself with smarter people that can kind of help you navigate some of those questions of which direction should we go.
What would you say, like, why did you choose that name head coach as, like, what you call yourself on your LinkedIn profile? And what would some of your key people say on that context as well, I guess, if you can imagine?
Yeah, ultimately it's a position of servitude, right? I'm there to help other people, show them, but I'm not the one out there making the plays.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of on the sidelines, and I'm helping call out some different things, and looking for blind spots and looking for areas that we need to get better and things like that. And that's ultimately the position where I'm responsible when things go good. I'm responsible when things go bad, but I'm not on the field making the plays every day.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of I felt the metaphor fit, and if I'm there, I got to be able to taking the good, taking the bad,
Yeah.
but also calling out when there's issues coming up.
When was that transition for you when, like, at what employee count, if you will, when you no longer had a lot of your time in front of your customers?
Every year it's gotten a little better for me. I would say in the last couple years it's probably the best, but once we hit 50 people, it ultimately, I had to start making a decision and relying on others and saying, we trust these people. We know they're part of the team. They understand our mission. They know where we're going.
Yeah.
They understand that, it's not about the mighty dollar. It's about clients, and it's about the name, and it's about what we're ultimately trying to do in the community.
Yeah. What have you done some of the deep work, the mission, vision, values, calming it to your front lines and stuff like that?
Yeah, 100%. We've done a bunch of that stuff, and we can get, really wrapped up in some of that stuff. But our big tagline is we make people's lives better through landscaping. And that's it. We're not cops, so people don't get mad at us.
Right.
We ultimately, people want us
We don't
there.
care if you're growing weed in your backyard.
We don't care.
My landscape guy is also the creator of the Lightning Mini Golf in Old Town West. I don't know if you know Matt Gettig or not.
Okay.
Right at Whitcomb and LaPorte. So there's there's like 10 different free mini golf holes
Yes.
scattered around there.
Yes.
And my neighbor built them during COVID just to give people a reason to like be together and be outside and stuff.
Yep.
But he builds them in mostly his irrigation and landscaping clients' front median things.
Nice.
Without city permission or anything like
Love
that.
it.
But anyway, his opinion is that like 45% of yards seem to have some homegrown going on these days, or maybe it's only 25. But he's like, every time I go in Mrs. Johnson's backyard, if it's not in her backyard, it's in the neighbors across the street or over the next fence.
Yeah, we certainly see that. I would say we probably have a handful of clients that had operations just in the house.
Yeah.
So you're always smelling the fans.
Even before it was even
Yeah.
legit, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
imagine. Yeah. So you're not the police. We're
Nope.
here to make your life better through landscaping.
that's it. Yeah, I mean, people are happy, right? They engage with us, so we're not doing
Right.
cold calls and
Well, that communicates such a good consultative approach. You know, do you want raspberries in your backyard?
yeah.
You know, because you just remember picking raspberries from your
Yeah.
mom's tree when you were a kid. Well, we could probably make that happen or whatever, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we're here to make your life better, and so, again, people aren't mad at us very often, which is nice.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of people flock to the industry.
Yeah. Yeah. What would your kind of longtime employees say about you as a leader, but also the culture generally? I mean, beyond that tagline, if you will.
Yeah, I think they're ultimately thankful I've matured over the years, right?
Okay, yeah.
A little bit of a wild guy back in the day.
All right.
And so I think they're thankful that maturing over the years, and I think that they're thankful. I think they're ultimately also. I don't micromanage much.
Yeah.
We just kind of set our goals for the year, and we strive to hit them, and we all work pretty hard to get there.
Yeah. I dig it. I
Yeah.
dig it. Kind of a comradeship.
Yeah. 100%.
Without it sounding Marxist or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, and you and I know each other at least a little bit through Rotary Club.
Yeah.
You are a member of the Wednesday group?
Fort Collins Wednesday group. Yep.
Yeah,
The downtown group, I think they call themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, the 1918 Club, right?
Yep.
The
yep.
OGs.
OGs. Yep. So been a member now for quite a while. Back when they were at the Drake Center is when I joined.
Okay.
Man, that might have been 7-8 years ago now. Yeah.
Yeah, at least I bet.
At least, yeah. They've kind of hopped around. COVID kind of forced their hand to move a couple times, and cost and things like
Yeah, I
that.
visited the club a couple times back in the day when they were in the Lincoln Center. I don't know if that was before Drake Center.
They were at the Lincoln Center
Probably
before
both
the
before
Drake
and after,
Center.
maybe.
Yes, they're back at the Lincoln Center.
Oh, they are good.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
that'll make it
yeah.
more likely for me to visit. We
Yeah.
could do a swapperoo sometime on
We should.
Thursday mornings at Ginger and Baker. So
Okay.
we're not far out of each other's.
Okay, that's good.
So it's lunch at the Lincoln Center.
Yep.
And the catering lunch at
Yep.
Wednesday noon.
Wednesday noon. Yep.
Be there 10 minutes before so you can get a good spot.
20. Yeah.
20 is
yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's an open invitation for anybody that wants to check more out about Rotary.
100%. 100%.
I considered the Foothills Lunch Club when I was first joining, but I was like, oh, it's so far away. But
Yeah. So are you breakfast?
breakfast, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
We were kind of a small club when I joined, but we're 85 now or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Getting
pretty-
up there.
Pretty,
Yeah. So I have a pretty my Rotary. My impact is I'm part of the Peach Fest.
Okay.
So I help put that.
Oh,
on.
you are?
Yeah.
Good. So
Yeah,
you work
so-
with Dave?
Dave Haas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Awesome.
Steve Lane
Oh, good.
and a couple other key.
That's your main kind of shoulder into the wheel.
Yep. I was
Yeah.
doing it before COVID, so I
Okay.
figured I just got to keep.
Well,
it
I was
going.
thinking about sponsoring Peach Fest this year,
Okay.
actually, but I should probably let Dave get that win, not
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
So
get
I'll
Dave
talk
involved.
more with him about it
Yeah.
instead.
Yeah.
So for years, so it's my birthday weekend typically,
Aha.
Peach Fest, and so I usually go on a big long camping trip, and it's Realities for Children ride.
Oh yes.
The last couple of years has been conflicting too, and I've taken part in that a bunch of times, and I'm a member there.
Aha.
And so it's like, but this year they're both on different weekends.
Aha. Yes. Yeah.
But I
yeah.
might still be gone with one for my birthday.
Yeah. Luckily, Dave's kind of kept the torch going, which is awesome.
He's great.
Yeah. He's pretty passionate about it, which is really nice.
Yeah. Well, and the event has evolved over the years to really become a neat thing.
It has.
Easier
yeah.
to say yes to supporting and things
Yeah,
like that.
and it's not as crazy as it used to be. I mean, now it's just good bands,
Yeah,
music,
yeah, yeah.
beer, People can't complain
Not so
about
many
that.
things going on. Doesn't
Not
have
so
to
many
be so
things.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Exactly.
I'm a sergeant at arms.
Okay.
Is kind of where I give much of my efforts these days to the
Okay.
Breakfast Club. So I introduce all the visiting guests and
Okay, good.
kind of, if people need to shut up and listen to the program, and I raise heck and that
There
kind
you
of
go.
thing. But
There you
it's
go.
allows me to do some good benefit, without being overburdened.
Yeah.
And plus, my attendance is way better
Yes, that is
having
that.
something to do every
My
month.
attendance does struggle a lot of months.
During COVID Nation, I was like,
Yeah.
I've had all the Zoom meetings I can handle.
Yeah, yeah.
But, coming back, and we were at the Marriott,
Yes.
and then like came back into in-person meetings at Ginger and Baker. And
Okay.
Ginger and Baker is basically exactly between my house and my office here.
Okay. That works
Which
out
is
perfect.
like, my whole life is like contained within 1.3 miles now.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's nice.
Yeah, I should be riding my
was
bicycle
about
instead
to
of
ask.
driving that big old ambulance out there. But
Do you ride a bicycle? That was my next question.
I do, yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, I actually just went for a nice 10-mile ride on Saturday.
Okay, nice.
So,
Nice.
but I've grown out of that habit.
Yeah.
I wanted to acknowledge this nice gift. I got from Zach here a ZGL coffee cup, a nice hand-molded clay from, it says M something,
MK.
MK, Michael Kreisberg.
That's our buddy Michael. Yeah, he handmade those this year, so I had a certain number of those made and gave them out to some of our good clients. And
Wow, I'm really honored.
I thought for
I
a
got,
coffee
I got
drinker,
like 4 of these left, and I got this podcast thing with Kurt. And this,
I
that's
want to
great.
make sure they go to good people
Yeah,
ultimately.
well,
So
you don't know enough about me yet, but I'll tell you the story about. Oh, by the way, I had some Chinese company make that glass with our brand on it.
hey,
But I did have Zoe's Bakery create the hot sauce
I appreciate it.
for you. So
That's
a
awesome.
local product.
Thank you.
So my story I mentioned was when you told me Michael made this cup on the way in.
Yeah.
So Green Ride, Colorado, before Groom.
Yes.
That was one of my more successful banking startups. I financed that back in the day in like 2009 with like 7 old buses or vans, basically, and
Yep.
a little bit of working capital. But they introduced me to Michael and said, hey, this guy found all of our vans for us. He can sell stuff, do stuff. And the bank had repossessed a mobile home down by like Evans.
Okay.
Like out in the country, down south of Milliken Evans, somewhere
Okay.
down in there. And so I had at the time a 1995 Audi S6.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar,
Yep.
but a nice, and it had some extra boosties and some Porsche brakes and free flow exhaust and all that. And so we go down and look at this place, and he's like, I don't know, man, maybe 4,500, sold. And I don't even really remember. I think he did sell it for us. And
Okay.
he made a little money. We made a little money. But leaving that place, it was like raining. And I'm like going on to Highway 34 from this county road exit. And I did like this amazing, like 20 to 75 mile an hour drifting acceleration.
Oh, that's sweet.
Merging onto the highway.
Okay.
And Michael didn't flinch.
Really? He was in the car with you?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, because I took him down to see this trailer, and I'm
Okay.
like, dude, I like that guy because he trusted I know what the fuck I'm doing, and
That's
I
awesome.
do.
That's awesome.
And not everybody, when they first meet a person, really wants to do this like multi-gear shifting drift
Yes.
in this supercar
That's funny.
from
That's
mid
awesome.
90s.
That's a wild story of Michael. Yeah, he's in our Rolodex of vendors and support for us because ultimately he can.
He's an amazing artist and creator.
Yeah, it's wild what he's doing with all
Advocate.
those pots. Yeah, and it just helping us get vehicles and
Oh, sure.
yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I was next door to him. I was in the America building there for a while too.
Got it.
So
Okay, in
I've
downtown.
known- yeah,
In Old
yeah.
Town?
When Local Think Tank was like first a thing.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah, he's not down there anymore, but he's still going strong.
he is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't run into him in a couple of years now.
Yeah.
So anyway, Michael, if you listen to this,
He should be
I
on the
don't know.
podcast.
Let's hang. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
talk sometime.
Yeah.
I knew him. This is embarrassing, but I knew him for like maybe 4 years or something. And then like somehow we brushed against a faith conversation, and he said he was Jewish. And I was like, oh my God, so many things make so much more sense now. Love you, Michael.
That's
Anyway,
funny.
I digress.
Yeah.
No stereotypes around here.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
So we kind of learned kind of your special sauces, the kind of the comms, finding your lane, finding opportunities. How long before you made the commercial jump?
Yeah, so I think it was probably 2012. I think Larimer County wanted a general contractor here in town to do a project, and the county recommended that they reach out to us to give them a bid.
Okay.
And because of some certifications and some things that we were doing back then, and so that's kind of how we got into the commercial world. Is this guy called me up and he's like, "Hey, the county wants me to give you an opportunity at this bid," and I was like, "Oh, okay." Well, we got the project.
You were still in do whatever mode.
Still in do whatever mode. Yep, yep. So we did the project. It was a success, and still doing work with those guys, and it's been a good partnership for us.
Do you have like commercial types of clients that are more your fit than others? Is it kind of more basic or generic, or do you get fancy pants, or
We've done everything all the way from real small commercial rehabs on a single building all the way up to huge multi-million-dollar projects. We just finished a big project out in the city of Greeley on a restoration project. We're doing a big project at UNC in front of the Blue Bear right now. They're doing a huge turf conversion. They're removing all the grass in front of the Blue Bear.
oh wow,
It's the most prominent corner in town, so we're completely redoing that right now.
that's a water minimization
Yeah,
element. And what do
yeah.
you replace all that grass
It's
with?
going to be native. It's going to be sidewalks. It's going to be retaining walls, pergola,
interesting.
bunch of structures. Yeah, it's actually pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool project. So
Yeah,
that's
that's cool.
seeing a lot more turf conversions, a lot of restoration work, kind of all over for us too.
Is that a specialty area, even the turf conversion? Kind of like we put the grass in, but we can also like change it up later.
It is, and I think it kind of came on accident. But getting turf converted successfully is not as easy as it sounds. It takes a lot more management. Everyone knows with bluegrass, you put the irrigation on it, you turn it off, you mow it, you turn it back
Yeah,
on, and we kind of get into this cycle. And with turf conversions, or with native grass, it's quite the challenge because you got the left hand and the right hand don't really communicate. So you have code compliance that's telling you need to mow the weeds, and you've got the people that own the project that say, well, I can't mow the native grass yet. So there's this combination of how do we get this thing to full establishment, which ultimately has to get to establishment because someone's money's on the line.
Right.
So there's a bond, there's some sort of money put up, and
Yeah.
until it's at a
Interesting.
70% establishment, they have erosion control issues.
Yeah.
So all that to kind of say is
Well, and the grass has to be kind of allowed to push through and crowd out the other weeds and stuff.
but some of the weeds are stronger than the grass. So
Right.
how do you kind of, it's a juggling act
Yeah.
of getting that establishment. So we've kind of become real strong at it, and we work with a lot of the municipalities, other companies. We can kind of help help people. I'd say once a year we have a project where we're trying to help someone get their money back from the city.
And so, does it get no water after that if you go to back a native grass kind of style, or just way less? You
It's
keep the equipment there.
It's a multi-year phase. So the first year, there's not a lot of water savings in my mind. I'm not scientific here, but
Right.
you have to establish it. You have to get it going. Year
Yeah.
2, you're going to use water. Year 3, you're going to start to see it cut way back. You ultimately can get it to where it's only going to water for probably 5 or 6 times, because you don't need anything in the spring.
Yep.
You probably just need a couple waters in July, August, kind of
Yep.
in there, and then it does its own thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So ultimately,
it's-
once it's established, you can
That's how
ultimately
the grass
cut it
grows
off.
in Peyton
Yeah.
and in Ray and different places out there, right?
Yep. That's how the real grass grows. So
Yeah, yeah.
the native
Interesting.
grass. Yeah. So we do a lot of turf conversions. It's more and more popular. We're starting to see it on the residential now as well. Just people saying, "Hey, I don't use this area of my yard anymore. Let's just convert it to native grass."
Yeah.
And so smart conversions, I think, make a lot of sense.
And do you guys do like patios and concretes and like all the stuff, or do you sub out some of that?
We do all the hardscapes in-house. We don't pour concrete ourselves, but we do a lot of pavers, segmental concrete pavers.
Yep.
I got into those, man, we were probably one of the first companies in northern Colorado. We had a vendor.
Those are like the things that fit with each other,
Yeah,
kind of. You put them on a
they
sand bed
interlock.
kind of
Yeah.
thing.
It ultimately is the only option in northern Colorado, in my mind, in Colorado, with our freeze-thaw cycle and the salt and all these things. It's the only product where you don't have to, it's not cracking, heaving, spalling. It doesn't do any of that.
I've got some old City of Fort Collins sidewalks
Yep.
is most of my back patio, so they're big old chunks of slate and stuff, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it ain't what she used to be. It used to be I could lay my yoga mat on a few of the bricks and just like do that, and now
Yeah.
it's not. Things have changed a lot in the last 10 years.
Yeah, the concrete's not nearly as durable of a product, and so we do a lot of pavers. And two, when we talk with clients, we tell them all the time, we live in a concrete jungle. You go to Target, everything's concrete. You go to Home Depot, everything's Target. You go to the hospital, everything's concrete. You go downtown, everything's concrete. So we want to give people an oasis in their backyard, and when you kind of open up your back door, you want that kind of softer feel.
Yeah.
And pavers really give you that comfortable, soft, welcoming feel, and that kind of helps bring people down on the weekends. Again, making people's life better through
Well, it probably
landscaping.
drains better too. Like, is it for the city's perspective on the impervious versus pervious? Is that?
There's a whole system behind that. The
Okay.
city's got their theories. And,
We don't
but
worry about
yeah,
that too much.
Nah, we don't worry about it. In some states, the water does percolate down through faster, but ultimately in Colorado, we have clay, so it's really not going to move that far.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So when not to shift back, but when you first got started, like, what were the first few hires for you? Just more people to help you with bigger projects that you sold?
Yeah, labor, foreman's
Mowing
always
Pat's grass, or did you have
Pat's
to mow
grass.
Pat's
I did
grass?
that.
You did
I
that
did that
yourself?
for a long time. Yeah, probably a couple months or a year. I don't know. But it ultimately it was that area. Foreman, craftsman. Right, you want craftsmen, and that's on the construction side. You need guys that have that artist mentality, and they see it as this is an art form. How the boulder goes in, how the trees and the shrubs complement each other, the plants, the mulch, everything. It just has to complement each other. And so when we do a design, it's diagrammatical. It gives people, our team and the clients, a way to kind of see it in a 2D. But once that boulder shows up, once those plants show up, it can shift and adjust just a little bit.
So did you do design a lot?
We
early
did.
on?
I was doing
You individually?
Yeah, I was doing napkin sketches for a long
Okay,
time.
all right.
And then AutoCAD kind of came along and became more affordable, and that's when we started hiring people with that skill set to kind of bring in house.
Gotcha.
You
You're
know,
like, look how much better that is than my napkin system.
way better. Yeah. And so ultimately, that foreman level position is always key, right? Because they got to see it as the same light.
Yeah. What else? Like, if you had some business most important learnings along the way that you wanted to share with people scaling their small landscaping firm, is there anything that or otherwise, their painting business, whatever else?
Yeah, there's a lot of little things, right? Analysis by paralysis, right? You hear some of the guys that have been doing it a long time. You got to step away. You got to get out of it sometimes, because you can go literally crazy when you're so passionate about something. And if you're just constantly focused, it's just not good for you. So finding something to kind of give you an outlet, whether it's fishing, going to the gym, hiking, something to kind of pull you out of there.
Well, and even like that, and like a business coach, a peer advisory group, something like that.
That's where I was headed
right?
next. Yeah, peer advisory is key. People that know, no one loves an asshole. So, I typically...
No one loves a what?
An asshole. It's someone that asks
Oh, an
for
asshole.
An asshole. Someone that asks for, for advice, and then they don't take it, kind of thing. So you definitely want to have people that you can ask questions to and bounce ideas off of.
That's
that'll
key. Call you to account when you're not doing your stuff.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah. I heard a quote a long time ago. Everyone knows what needs to be done. The difference is just actually getting it done.
Yeah, there's something to that for sure.
Yeah.
And sometimes for some of us, like, I'm somebody that's more accountable to others than to myself sometimes. Some people are really internally motivated.
Yep.
Me, I'd rather just not let down my friends.
Totally.
And so that's kind of, for me, that was part of the whole peer advisory element.
Yeah.
Other business gems? I like the asshole a lot.
It's gonna take way more.
Yeah.
It's gonna take way more energy and way more time than you ever think it's going to.
To build something.
Everything. everything, right? You want to get a new product off the ground, way more time, way more energy.
Yeah.
You want to get,
A new system for bidding, a new.
way more time, way more energy.
When did you put your fancy pants software in?
Well, we tried another software that was a major fail. So we messed around for 2 years. I think from 2015 to 2017, we messed around with another software. Could not
Tried
get
to
it
make
to
it
work.
work.
It wouldn't work. Yeah, the software was just antiquated. It was basically an Excel spreadsheet that was fancy.
Sure.
And it was
Also industry specific, but industry
was
outdated by a while.
very outdated. Yeah, it would have been. I tell everyone it would have been better to light $50,000 on fire on a table.
I'm sure.
Because that's
Well,
what
that's probably a conservative because think of all the time
yeah.
you guys spent besides all
Plus
that
the
expense.
dollars. Yeah, so that was a horrible software. And then we went back to our second choice, which is where we're at now.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they were our second choice only because you couldn't own the software subscription based.
Right.
And fast forward 8 years now, everything's subscription based.
Right.
So really didn't matter. I probably should have started there.
Yeah, so it goes.
So it goes,
At least you can confess it.
Yep. We own the problem. So
This is kind of the point in the show where we usually like zoom back to like little Zach,
okay.
up somewhere a little town north of Peyton,
Yep.
Colorado.
Grew up in Black Forest.
Black
Yep.
Forest.
Yep.
Okay.
Parents had a little farm.
Yeah.
So I was in 4-H from kindergarten all the way into college.
Little farm being like an actual farm or a hobby farm?
Hobby farm, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We raised dairy goats.
Okay.
And I think we showed dairy goats in like 15 states.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So very passionate hobby farm.
Yeah. I was from California all the way
Money
to North
making?
Carolina.
Did they have regular day jobs too, or they just like sold goats? and
No,
stuff?
they had day jobs. Yeah.
Okay.
Mom stayed at home with raising the kids, and she did some part-time stuff with the 4-H organization.
Okay.
And then my dad worked for Midas for 30 years.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
mentioned that.
yeah.
And was he the passionate about dairy goats, or both of them? That was
My
like
mom was more passionate about the goats.
So
yeah.
you guys chased goats around for her, kind of to
Yeah.
have some fun, interesting
Yeah.
thing, but
Yeah.
also got you in 4-H and
got us in 4-H, gave us a work ethic, gave us some scholarships to get through college. So
yeah,
it wasn't all
yeah,
bad.
Yeah. And how many of you?
Just me and my brother. He's 5 years older.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Veterinarian.
All right.
Yeah.
And describe like little Zach. You got you're 7 and he's 12 or something like that. Like
Yep.
what's the
A lot of housework. We never really had a lot of time for sports, so there was no travel sports in our household.
was there a school up there? How big a school?
We went so Falcon was our school district.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And my parents, when they moved out there was one stop sign and one stop light between
Right.
my dad's office
That's
and the
pretty
house.
lonely.
17 miles. It was a long ways out there. Now there's Walmarts and King Soopers.
My wife and I lived in Colorado Springs from 04 to 07.
Okay.
So that's why I speak with some familiarity. For most listeners in Northern
Yes.
Colorado here, they're
Yes.
like, where is this? So this
Yeah.
is like, basically like, what, like 25 miles north and east of Colorado Springs, kind of?
20-ish. Yep.
Okay.
Where my parents were, and I think it extended all the way up to 25.
Sure.
But yeah, it was there.
There's
About 20
Franktown
miles.
is up just north out of the trees, kind
Yep.
of there and whatnot.
Yep. Yeah, it's a big area. It goes all the way from I-25. I mean, it's probably
It's
20
really cool. It's geographically unique.
It is very.
Right. And culturally, probably pretty unique. Can we,
Yeah.
you want to talk about that a little bit? Was it all like California's hippies escaping to the forest somewhere?
You know, my parents' theory was everyone lives here for a different reason. My parents
Okay.
were from California,
Yep.
so everyone lives out here for a different reason. My parents had goats. The neighbor built race cars. The next guy did trees. One guy raised dogs. So I mean, it's pretty much
Yeah.
you name it out there.
kind
It's
of
pretty
libertarian
wild.
of sorts.
It was pretty normal out in the Black Forest until that fire came through.
Mm.
And once that fire ripped through, the houses they built out there were ginormous because it was 5 acres. It was people's peace,
Right.
and so it kind of burned out a huge section of the Black Forest. And they came back in and just built these monstrosities. So it's
So it had been kind of almost like a hippie village, and then all of a sudden became like where you can build your big ass house.
you can because they're 5-acre parcels,
Right.
3-acre parcels, and it's
Right.
all trees, so you don't see your neighbors, right? And I think COVID exasperated that, right, where it made it even more where people are like, I want my own space.
Interesting.
And so it
So it ain't what it used to be.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Kind of
mean
a bummer.
it's all right. I mean, it's part of the movement and change.
Yeah. There's nothing static in this world.
Nope.
So, so you're motivated. Sounds like kind of that outdoorsy, small town youth, kind of get her done. Did you
Yep.
have a lawn mowing business or anything before Pat?
No.
Nothing like
I went to school at NJC. Didn't know what I wanted to do. Really didn't even sign up for school. My dad came home from work one day and was like, "Hey, I signed you up to go to school." I was like, "Oh, okay, this is interesting." So, signs me up for NJC.
Okay.
Wasn't a straight A student. I'll put it that way. And went to NJC. Best thing that ever happened to me. Small school. Was able to meet up with some tutors and all the things. Became an RA.
Cool.
Kind of started some leadership there.
Wow.
And then
So you were kind of a slack ass in high school to
not the
be
smartest.
too critical.
Yeah.
Well, not the smartest, but it sounds like also didn't really apply or engage. Maybe
Apply. Yeah. I lacked engagement and
Yeah.
lacked application.
just
So
because too many fun other things going on, or what was your?
I just didn't see the
circumstance?
value in it, I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah. Just didn't. It wasn't for me. I
Yeah.
don't know. So never really loved school. Then I went to NJC, graduated, didn't know what I was going to do. So then I transferred to CSU, got a degree in business management there.
Yeah.
So it's
And
been,
then
here
you
we
know,
are.
Here we are. Yeah, we
Fast
kind of
forward.
came back full circle.
Yeah.
I think it's a good time to take a short break, and then we'll come back for scene 2.
Sweet.
All right. Sweet.
Hi, this is Clint Jasperson, Managing Partner at Purpose Driven Wealth. We believe financial clarity leads to a life of contentment and purpose. Our mission is to guide clients through the complexities of wealth management, retirement planning, and legacy using a values-driven, stewardship-based approach focused on provision, contentment, and enjoyment. With more than a century of expertise through Thrivent, we offer tailored strategies to help individuals and families achieve their goals and embrace generosity. Whether you're navigating a life or business transition or planning for the future, we're here to partner with you every step of the way. To learn more about Purpose Driven Wealth, call 970-330-7411.
What did you do in peer advisory realm? Did you join a landscaping industry group, or have you been in other, not local think tank peer advisory things?
All the above, right?
Okay.
So we work with different consultants who have kind of
Now,
helped
are we
us.
back on? We can be back on the
We
show
can
if you
be,
want
yeah,
to.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
It's up to you.
Sure. Let's just be.
Okay.
Yeah, because you mentioned that in your kind of tips, and then I didn't explore it with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've worked with a handful of different consultants over the years.
Okay.
It's good to get outside perspective, ultimately local and national level, because people see what's going on. They
Yeah,
see what's
yeah.
successful. They see what's not working. And so it's given, we've worked with some different consultants that have helped us kind of give us that. And
they can be kind of concentrations of knowledge too. Like I suspect maybe that trend of there aren't that many mid-sizers
yes,
is true more than just in northern Colorado.
I would say, yeah, I would say it's probably across the country. I mean, only 1% of landscape companies get over $1 million in revenue a year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a small number.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Makes sense.
we worked with some consultants that have ultimately put us into some groups, calls, emails, kind of stuff like that, but nothing overly consistent. We want to drill
Gotcha.
down. We feel like when we're working on a problem, we want to drill into it so deep and so heavy that we're just kind of in that problem for
Right.
until we can kind of get it solved.
Is that you and that consultant or parts of your leadership team as well?
Yeah, parts of the
working with you
leadership
as a
team.
group?
Yeah, and we love to do fly-ins. Our industry is real good about doing fly-ins, so they'll kind of do these opportunities where you can fly to different states and see different organizations, and they walk
cool.
you through and let you talk to everybody, and they tell you, hey, this is what we do, and you can kind of do a little rob and repeat, like that seems to work good, or that doesn't
yeah.
work good, and
Yeah.
kind of bring some ideas back to your
That's
own
cool. And
organization.
because you can really only deliver service to the people right around you, like they're not scared you're going to come
100%.
break into the Salt Lake City market.
No, 100%.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's kind of an abundance mentality as an industry
Yeah.
in general. We
Yeah.
serve the people who are around.
Yep.
My
Yeah.
blog this month is, which I know I need to finish, Ava, is so I was reflecting on JFK, the ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
Yep.
But then I rephrased it, ask not what you can do for your country, ask what you can do for your community.
Yes.
Because we all get kind of too big focused sometimes, and we just work on what's right in front of us.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I think, when you have an organization or you're part of an organization, you got to find something else to kind of keep you occupied too, right? Whether it's working out, whether it's doing, again, some of these things
Yeah.
where you
Not swimming in that the whole time.
Yeah, 100%. And
Yeah.
that's where the community comes in, and ultimately you got to get to a level where you can make that happen.
Are you a workout guy? Is that one of your
Yeah,
things?
I
You
do.
look like you got some pretty good pipes there.
I try to hit
I
the
joined
gym.
a gym about a month ago, and
Okay.
really for the first time since I was like 22, I've been pushing weights. So
Okay, nice.
it's neat. I don't build strength as fast as I did when I was 22.
Oh no, it does not. Nothing goes on or comes off nearly as fast as it did when you were younger.
I'm noticing. Yes.
Yeah. No, the gym keeps me sane. That's for sure.
Yeah. Cool.
So, yeah.
Well, we typically transition to the faith, family, politics, like the can't talk about subjects here.
Sure.
Do you have a preference of where we start there?
Nope.
This episode is sponsored by Loco Think Tank. Loco Think Tank provides peer collaboration for business owners. We build smart, safe places to help business leaders navigate every stage of the business journey, and we love what we do and who we do it with. Our model features give-back-minded business veterans in the role of Loco facilitators, and we're always looking for abundance-minded individuals to add to our membership, facilitator team, Loco community, or to feature on this podcast. Listeners of this podcast who go on to become members of Loco Think Tank get their 6th month of membership for free. Just mention the Loco Experience podcast on your application. To learn more, visit our website at locothinktank.com. That's LOCO thinktank.com.
Let's talk about your family first.
Yeah.
You're wearing a ring, but we haven't met your wife
Yep.
in this conversation so
my,
far. But we did a little bit because she moved back up to Fort Collins or something.
Yeah.
Or you came back up to chase her.
Yeah. She wanted to go to CSU, and so we've been married 17 years now.
Okay.
So yeah, she's been there kind of from the beginning.
Where did you find her at? Where were you at?
4-H.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's
Bring it back to 4-H.
Bringing it back to 4-H again. So she was in the same 4-H club as us, and she's a little bit younger than I am. And
Her parents were also amazing dairy goat raisers.
not quite
that
on the
close.
level
Okay.
where my family was on. My mom took it to another level.
They were amateur dairy goat people.
But they were part of the organization. So
Yeah.
17 years, 2 boys.
Okay.
Holden is 15 and Bo is 12. 2
We
boys.
often try to do a one-word description of the individual children.
Okay.
Would you like to attempt that with Holden and
Bo.
Holden
is extremely smart.
We can put a dash in there.
Yeah,
It's fine.
dash. And then Bo is courageous. He's a wild guy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Who takes after who more?
Holden's 6'4" already, wears a size 14 shoe.
Oh, dang.
15, yep. So he's a big guy. And then Bo probably takes after his mom, a little bit smaller, more petite.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And what's your wife's name?
Robin.
Hi, Robin.
Yeah.
You'll probably listen to this.
She will for sure.
I suspect.
Yeah.
What was the connection point just beyond like she was the cutest girl at 4-H? What are the things that either drew you to her or vice versa in that early, early time?
She's got a strong personality.
Okay.
And that was key for me back then. As she was strong, she could hold her own. It's key for me now.
Yeah.
She doesn't need me to kind of hold her up and make decisions for her.
I've said before, I don't really want a woman that needs me. I want a woman that wants me.
Correct.
Yes. If she could tell me to F off once in a while, that's even better, probably.
Yeah, that's her.
But use nicer language than that.
Yeah.
And how about for her? What was her draw to you? Just that.
Different. I was different guy that she was normally used to.
Okay.
She ultimately was with probably much better athletes and different types of guys. So I think I was different, had a little bit more drive than most for her, and she was probably liked that.
But you didn't really have much going yet. I mean,
No,
you
I
had
had
a pickup
nothing.
truck and $400 worth of ads.
My future assets. That's all
Yeah.
she was. That's why she was in it, I think.
Well, it's a special intuition, right? Like it's an interesting thing culturally. Now that people are coupling so much later,
Yep.
right? Like when girls married boys when they were 18 or 20 or 21, they had to kind of be future prognosticators, right? Like they're trying to play the market here a little bit.
Yeah.
Who's got not just kindness and sensitivity, but also strength and perseverance and the ability to go get her.
Yeah, and I was young when we started dating. I was 23. I was out of college, and I didn't know what I was doing at all in life.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's almost like it's taken power out of women's hands in some ways to try to marry at 30 because now they already know who's a loser, who's not a loser, as far as like, pretty much by 30,
Yeah, the cards are
you're
out
headed
there.
one direction or another. Your
Yeah.
cards are on the table a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
They can kind of stack rank that, and they still don't. Now they just choose old guys,
Yeah.
right? The
They'll-
30-year-old girls like are with 40-year-old guys in their second marriage, and all
It
the
happens.
30-year-old guys are all single,
Yep.
like doing porn or something.
it
I don't
happens.
know.
I
It's
don't know.
unfortunately a cultural trend.
Yeah.
I digress.
Yeah. It's all good.
I'm a student of X.com and too many cultural things probably.
Yeah.
What was the family environment for you like? Do you have grandparents around? They were back in California and stuff. Your wife, things like that.
Half of the grandparents were in California. Half of the grandparents were Australia.
Oh wow.
My mom's Australian.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that didn't see them very often either side really.
Yeah.
Mom and dad moved out there when I was 5. So my dad was
They didn't have siblings necessarily nearby or things like that.
my mom's brother was in Australia. My dad's sisters were in California still.
Interesting.
So yeah,
So they were a
just
little island kind of, and you
Yeah.
guys were too. And so a little bit of a self-sufficient island. That's part of your character development, probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Have you been to Australia?
Yep, a couple times.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to see family. Actually, after I graduated college, I went over there for a month.
Oh, cool.
Just kind of traveled around. And,
Yeah.
it was good.
What part of the country?
Most of the population's congregated, right? Because
Yeah,
of the
all
way-
the little
yeah,
few clusters here and there between
yeah.
the desert chunks.
yeah, but basically from Brisbane all the way down to there's another.
Sydney. No, not
You
on the
got
other
through
side.
Sydney. Yeah, there's kind of 3 big
Yeah,
cities on
yeah,
the
yeah.
one side.
One
So.
of my former facilitator moved there
Oh, nice.
to that realm somewhere. I think Brisbane even actually.
Okay. Nice.
So I've studied the Australia map not too long ago,
Yeah.
reorienting myself.
You better go over there.
Yeah, I would love to actually. My grandfather growing up, he was a bachelor for many years and then married my grandmother on his second marriage or her second marriage. But he at like the age of 19 in 1922 or something went to Australia for a year
Whoa.
and just moved there.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I don't know, he did some stuff and then he came home and he worked on a ranch, did this and that.
That's wow. That's a different time.
Yeah, well, and I'm a North Dakota kid, right? And so nobody did stuff like that there.
No.
People just were born there and raised
Stayed
there, then they
there.
die there,
Yeah.
kind of mostly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yep.
love
So
to
that's
check it out sometime.
mom, dad. That's what they did. And my wife's family's similar. They were from Texas.
Okay.
My father-in-law was an electrician, and they moved up to Colorado because he just enjoyed the mountains.
Yeah.
And
Okay. So you got that family support now, kind of on the in-law side.
Yep. He passed away in 2011, but my mother-in-law's in Fort Collins now.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you think about family, were there certain outside of the kind of work ethic and the passion pursuits of your mom and stuff? Was there things that your family really maybe transmitted, like your parents to your next generation, to you and your wife?
Yeah, I mean, both of my parents worked hard. So I think it was hard work. My dad was always calm, methodical, and my mom was a go-getter, raising the boys and just kind of keeping us in line. And
She was kind of the fire. He was the stabilization in
yeah,
some ways.
yeah, 100%. So it's
Okay.
kind of kept, I think it probably has helped along the way in business, right? The one side's all foot on the gas, and the other side's kind of cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Is your wife involved with your business too?
She is now.
Okay.
Yeah, so she stayed at home with the kids for 10 years, I think.
Okay.
And then kind of once the kids were grown and established, we brought her back in to do
Let's
some
talk
stuff.
about how do you did you know what you wanted her to do, or did you let that kind of navigate a little bit? How do you reintroduce in that way?
She's on the accounting side now.
Okay.
And it was out of need at the time.
Okay.
And so
In that kind of growing through phase,
Yeah.
hey, I need a super good, very cheap accounting person,
reliable.
reliable.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she jumped back in just a couple years ago, I think. And,
Okay. Oh, so you had kind of grown through that. but-
Yeah. So she helped us out a ton. She's been great. She kind of just keeps everything in order, in line. And
Do you have need really of a controller level person, or is that her, or do you not
we
really
have
need it necessarily?
we use a CFO for hire.
Okay,
to
like a
kinda-
fractional CFO?
Yeah, fractional CFO to
Yep,
kind of
yep.
jump in and just make sure all the T's are crossed.
All the
I's are
reconcilements are done. All the things are tight. There's
Yeah.
no employees are stealing where they're supposed
Yeah.
to be Dropboxing,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep, and just watching for those weird things. So we kind of
Yeah.
have a fractional CFO kind of jump in and kind of help out where we need
Help
it.
you with like designing budgets and stuff like
Yep,
that too.
100%. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
yep.
a nice. Like, there's no reason for a company your size to have a $175,000 a year CFO.
No. No.
But it's also risky to not have anybody that's got a higher level of experience.
100%. Yeah. So that was where, and this fractional CFO has been real strong, helpful for us, because they just turn over stones. And again, she works with other landscape contractors throughout a couple states. And so she kind of can say, hey,
Yeah.
we're seeing this over here. We're seeing
Right.
this over here.
Yeah,
or, are you sure you're not having some theft or
Right,
what's
some
going on?
materials theft, different
Yeah.
things like that.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
I mean, you're not dealing with copper wires, but you're dealing with a lot of materials that are easily sold to Joe with a pickup.
Yep.
That makes
Happens.
sense.
Yep.
Politics or faith?
Faith, yeah.
right.
Family of Christ, and we're
Going back to your parents?
Not my parents a ton. I went
Okay.
to a Baptist high school.
Okay.
So I think I kind of started my journey on my own, and
Like they didn't choose the high school for you, or like was that the high school that was there? Or
no, they didn't. My parents didn't love the high school, Falcon High School,
whatever? Okay.
and so they seeked out other options for my brother and I.
Okay. And there was a Catholic high school and a Baptist high school, and
Baptist
We landed
one it
with the
was.
Baptist,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So my brother went to District 20, so they had to truck him in, and then some of the district rules changed, and so they planted me at a Baptist high school, and
Okay.
so that's kind of where my journey started. They went to church some, but with the farm it was just super hard, super
Yeah,
tough on the
yeah.
weekends. So
so they weren't anti-faithful; they just weren't really
No.
very engaged, if
yeah,
you will.
100%. Yeah.
And then for your wife as well, same perspective, or
I would
different?
say same perspective for her. Her parents weren't, against faith, but found other things
Yeah.
keeping her busy. So keeping them busy. But yeah,
Then you guys keep an active like attendance and stuff here at one of the local.
not as much as you always want to,
organizations?
but yeah,
You got
yeah.
one.
Yep, I got one. So
I was we go to the Crossing Church, my wife and I,
Okay.
down at Shields, and I sent one of our lay pastors is a scientisty guy, like CDC virus scientist, and he's one of my favorite guys. I should have him on here sometime, but I sent him a little short video that was like all like 14 of the major denominations of Christians explained
okay,
in like 14 minutes,
wow,
and determined our church was kind of a Pres-Baptist, like Presbyterian hybrid with Baptist, a little bit Reformed Baptist kind of
Okay.
element. We don't really hang any of those flags,
yes,
but it's in that realm,
okay,
if you will.
yeah. So we attend church, yeah, from time to
Sometimes.
time. Yeah. Business is tough,
Yeah, fair
landscaping.
enough.
So
The kids are familiar and
yep,
stuff too.
Yep, our kids actually go to a Christian school.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Resurrection.
they
or-
do. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Boys go to
They
Resurrection.
probably know. How old is the older one?
15 freshmen.
Okay. So Simon Johnson. Do you know Simon Johnson?
Yes.
Greg Johnson is my brother-in-law, and Isaac just
Isaiah.
won. Isaiah just won the state wrestling championship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Strong kids.
Oh boy, it's
Our
been wild to
oldest
see him.
our oldest really looks up to him.
Is that right?
Yeah, good
yeah,
kid.
I mean, he's been my favorite.
He's a good kid.
Yeah. So me and Isaiah have been kind of pals for a lot of years now, actually.
Good to see that he got a wrestling scholarship
Yeah. Yeah.
right before he won the state.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
He could have maybe got a better scholarship if he'd have waited a little bit. I don't know.
I waited a couple weeks. He
So,
would have got something different.
But yeah, no. So I've been, Jill and I go down for the fundraiser for the Res Gala,
Gala,
and things
yeah,
like that. Every
okay.
year. It's pretty neat how they run that operation.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
really involve a lot of local business people in supporting the sports teams and things
Yep.
like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
kudos
We
to
like it.
them.
We love it. Our kids love it.
I'm told the Res Church is more of not a dumpster fire, but not quite as well operated as the school. Perhaps.
Correct. Correct. Yes.
Anyway, we don't need to talk about
Yeah.
that because your face is already a little bit red.
Yeah.
Politics.
Politics.
Yeah, we're what, day 37 or something like that of the Trump presidency.
A lot of changes.
Yeah,
lot of changes.
Are you squeamish yet on the Doge and this and that?
Nope.
or-
Nope. Needs to happen.
Yeah,
I think it's just, everyone has their opinion, right? And we got to turn over all stones. And I think if businesses are required to show a profit and we are judged on our productivity on a daily basis, I don't think that's too much to ask. I think that there's some different layers and some different things that probably, we just don't mess with Secret Service stuff, some of that stuff. But man, at the end of the day,
well, but we might want to mess with Secret Service a little bit. Like they didn't have a big successful year last year. I mean, they lucked into not letting the president
die.
candidate get assassinated twice.
Yes, yeah, mess. It's a mess. I'm glad the election is behind us.
Yeah.
The people spoke, right? And so I think we're at this point.
Well, and it's interesting here in northern Colorado where this people spoke like 67% Harris.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and I've never been a Trumpy guy necessarily, but I'm pretty, like, I'm a libertarian guy. I'm like, yes,
Same.
and
I think most of us are.
Yeah, business people is more characteristically, especially.
Yep.
But like HP has probably laid off more people in northern Colorado than the federal government will over the next 12 months.
Huh.
If you think about it, they've had downsizings over the years and stuff.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It happens, but you've never heard of a downsizing at any level of government.
No.
The city economic development office has grown from 5 to 12 employees over the last 6 years, and to me, it's not discernible what their impacts have been.
Well, and
but I'm going to have them on sometime soon, actually.
I have
if you guys are listening, you know that I'm not criticizing yet.
I have a direct tie to the government and using this visa program. So I do a ton of lobbying because of the importance of it. And so
you're freaked out a little bit by the immigration kind of conversation.
I mean, I see that the accountability issue, it's a little bit like the IRS, right? You have to turn in paperwork, but you don't know which paperwork, what time to turn in the paperwork, how to turn in the paperwork, because there's no...
But you're in trouble if you don't turn the paperwork in the right time.
100%. So in 2024, we got stuck in the wheel of death. Our paperwork just sat there and sat there and sat there and sat there until all the visas were gone.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. So then we have no visas. And then now what? And then it was, we have more questions for you. And it's like, well, what happened to our application that's been sitting there for 45 days?
Wow.
And so we have a firsthand connection when we see that lack of clarity. And so when I see that we're trying to clean these things up and make some more transparency and accountability and all these things, it seems okay. It's like going to the DMV, right? I mean, you pay for productivity at the DMV, you need half as many people in the building.
Yeah.
So,
the office, for whatever reason, old office clips really. So, Bob, what do you do here?
Yes.
And I just wonder, how much we're going to flip over.
Could change a lot.
And ultimately, there's going to have to be big changes to entitlement stuff too.
Yep.
And like if Make America Healthy Again can actually make Medicare and Medicaid cost less over the next 10 years, because we're not doing all these dumb things to ourselves anymore.
Yeah, we gotta tighten up some of the spending, right? I mean, I think that's where a lot of us see it as like, hey, okay, we can't keep taking this bus over this cliff. Right? I mean, the T is a big number.
I'm writing my blog right now, and it's I think I mentioned already it's what you could do for your community, but I'm like, well, Elon just wants to send people to Mars. And if the U.S. goes bankrupt, nobody's going to have enough discretionary income to do a Mars program, and then here we are.
Yep.
So he's like, I guess I could just go in there and do some stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a pretty interesting thing.
It has been wild. But I went to a H2B symposium in Vegas a couple weeks ago.
H2B.
That's the visa program we use.
Okay.
And in the first 5 minutes, the guy that was running it stood up and said, there's no more executive orders than normal. There's nothing crazy that he's doing. All of these things are right in line with what we expected. And so I was much calmer after that because I'm like, man, this seems to be like a lot of moving parts already. But they said it's just what he's focusing on, how he's focusing on it, and it's just playing out.
Well, and from what I hear in your perspective, like we need migrant labor forces to really do effective work, or at least it's beneficial to them and us.
100%. It's a requirement of our country.
Yeah. And like the whole, like we have a few million people here of which we have no idea who they are. is hard.
It is, and there's not going to be. I don't think Trump's going to have mass deportation. I mean, he understands that the country runs with immigrant workers, and so I just don't see that happening. But who doesn't want the bad apples out of here?
Right.
And the theft. I mean, the amount of stuff we've had stolen in the last 5 years is so out of control.
Really?
Oh, skid steers, mini skids, gasoline. They cut our fence. They steal our copper wire.
Damn.
They break into our trucks. They steal trucks. They on and on and on and on and on.
Oh, damn.
Weekly, I would say, for a while there.
Wow.
And so his new law says if you've been picked up for theft,
Right.
you're detained now.
Right.
So hopefully that kind of cleans up some of those things. Because I think
Yeah.
ultimately we all, we want it to be a little bit cleaner.
It needs to be a nation of laws, ultimately.
Yeah.
So you're optimistic at least a little bit right now, and
Yep.
see what happens.
I'd love to see our visa program get fixed.
Okay.
We got 365 days for that to possibly happen, but then if that doesn't happen, we'll be faced with some
Oh, really?
obstacles. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because once you hit year 2, right, they say less gets done because now you're looking at midterms, and
Sure.
then year 3, usually
Okay.
things switch. So
Well, that's the interesting thing about, like, I'm kind of a utilitarian of sorts, kind of as well. And it's like a lot of people want to come to America, and a lot of them are discouraged from this, like, 10-year process for actually becoming a citizen and stuff.
Yep.
Like, we should have a super license. If you got 50 grand
money solves most problems.
and you're smart and capable of learning and doing
Yeah.
the citizenship test and stuff.
Yeah.
And if you don't have 50 grand, that's fine.
Yeah.
Go through the regular process. It's still 10 grand.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
And let's do a vetting process of who would add the most value.
Yeah.
When I'm looking for members of local think tank, I'm like, who brings value and who's a dumpster fire that I don't want part of this organization. you know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's a need. It's
Yeah.
a need. So I'm glad to see. I mean, if you've been to DC before, you see the number of buildings and the number of people out there. It's
Yeah.
just staggering. It's wild.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
some of them are just sitting empty, right? Or
Oh, yeah.
limited people because they've done remote and
Work from home, all
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's kind of. I'm glad to see him clean it up. Don't think it's. I don't think it's going to be as bad in the end as everyone's made it out to be.
That's good. I
Yeah.
hope that's true.
Yeah.
What's the podcast I listened to recently? Doug Wilson and he said, the squealing that you hear is what happens when somebody gets between the hog and the trough.
Yeah,
So
it's happening.
anyway, I digress.
Yeah,
All right.
he's,
Well, good little political segment there.
Yep.
But you're kind of from that libertine bent. Let people do what they want.
100%. Yeah.
Don't go into debt too much. Don't
Yep.
fight wars.
Yep.
How do we fix Ukraine? Just like they're saying, kind of.
Well, the most recent one is they need to pay us back.
Right.
So that's a good
We
start.
noticed you got a ton of cobalt.
We noticed that you have 15 of the 25 most precious
Rare earth metals.
We'll go ahead and take half of those, and that'll secure our problems.
Yeah,
So-
it's an interesting. Yeah,
I
I mean, ultimately, they just have to stop killing each other, and we can't
Yeah.
have World War III. So
100%,
let's just do that.
How do we? Yeah, I agree. And I don't think anyone's against helping them, but I think the fact that a large percentage of the money or some of the money is unaccounted for, I think
Yeah.
is really part of the issue now.
Well, I mean that's all of our government too, so I can't
Yeah.
really blame them too much.
Yeah.
Would you like to do the dreaded awkward question ping
Let's
pong
do
ball
it.
pick?
Ping pong ball.
Okay, let's stir them up. So 3 balls, and then I will read the questions that are associated with those numbers.
All right. First up, number 4.
Number 4, and we'll choose the order. What would you estimate your burp to fart ratio is?
Oh,
Okay.
okay. That's
next
interesting.
one.
More burps than farts. I eat pretty well.
Okay,
So
okay.
not a lot of digestive.
So burps are
problems.
more an expression of pleasure.
Yeah, after a soda water or
Yeah,
something
that kind
good.
of thing.
Yeah.
The farts aren't too frequent.
Yeah. No.
Okay,
not
so
a ton.
maybe like 1 to 3 or something.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
23.
23. That was my question, by the way.
Okay.
That was pretty funny. Oh, you got all the silly ones. Any stupid human tricks you're willing to share or show?
Oh, I don't have many tricks.
Nothing like from the old timey.
No, nothing crazy I have. No, just pretty normal. I don't have anything wild.
You can't cross your eye. I mean, sure you can do that, but nothing like crazy.
Nothing. I don't have anything talents.
I have one. I'm going to see if I can show it on live. I have to take my ear things off.
Okay.
But this is my stupid human trick I've got. So you can do this. You can try it if you want.
Okay.
You're built a little bit like me with bigger muscles. So you're going to have to take your headphone off. And then put your arms here. And like, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, your arms are way too big. And you go like this, and then you tuck your head through there.
Oh,
Oh, yep.
No, I don't.
You're not going to make it. You can't do that one.
No.
Yeah, you're way too tough for that
Yeah,
one.
no, that's not happening.
That's my one.
There
As
you
far
go.
as I know, that's
There
my
you go.
only. Third.
No crazy tricks. Sorry. What number did I tell you? 23?
That was the stupid human trick. Yep.
24. 24. I have 23 and 24.
24 is the final one,
Okay.
and I think we'll make this one the prize one.
Okay.
Oh, is that what this is for? Is a prize for the lucky winner?
Yeah, that's you definitely got the
dang.
prize. Yeah.
But somebody should win it. Well, we'll have a prize for the winner.
Okay.
What is the most durable business relationship you've had?
Durable.
Durable, like either a person or another business or something that's been around for just about since the start.
Ooh, I got two. One, we've been working with a consultant since 2007. He's now in his 70s.
You want to shout him out?
His name's Jim Houston. Actually,
Jim.
a Colorado guy.
Yeah.
Good guy. Has really talked me off of the ledge a lot. So kudos to
Good
Jim.
job, Jim.
Second one is probably my good buddy Jason. I talk to him every single week for 30 minutes on Wednesday.
Okay.
And he's definitely talked me off the ledge.
Like a business coach, a business leader,
He just
friend from high school.
met him here in Fort Collins. He actually works for Dave Ramsey,
Oh wow. Okay.
the organization.
Okay.
And he just talks to me. He's a smart business guy, and he really smart dude, helps me out a lot.
Yeah.
So
Helps keep you on track
yeah,
on that goal.
helps keep me on track.
And do
yeah.
you run your business and your life on the kind of Ramsey plan-ish?
Ish, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for a lot of years we didn't carry much debt in the organization, right?
Yeah.
We were always just fear of 07, 08 again, right?
Right,
so it was
right,
like,
right.
no debt,
Yeah.
no debt, no debt. Okay, now to the size we are, we carry some debt, strategic debt, the right debt, new trucks.
That pays for itself.
Yeah. And we ultimately, we do these big exercises to figure out where we should be kind of pointing the ship. But ultimately, yeah, we're still debt conscious.
Yeah, fair enough.
And how we run things.
Yeah.
So.
If your son, either of your sons, wanted to start a business, like what would be some of the both, or anybody, any 16, 18, 20, 22, 24-year-old person out there that's, maybe got a job, but
Yep.
could I start something?
Yep. What advice do I have for him?
Yeah. Or would you tell him not to?
No. I tell him it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
It's something you don't stop thinking about, right? I mean, it's a all on all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of how it operates. So, I wouldn't steer him against it, but you definitely ask a lot of questions.
Know what
right?
you're getting into first.
Yeah. What's your why, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if people are like, I want to make all this money, you're not in the right spot.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to do all this. Okay, maybe, right? You got to have a pretty strong, purpose
Yeah.
and understand that. And so, just tell people, talk them through it, help them, and there's a lot of guys in this community that I talk to that are small landscapers, medium-sized landscapers,
Yeah.
Denver guys. I try to offer as much help as I can
Yeah.
when possible.
Well, and they can copy all of what you've done that they want to, probably, and it won't necessarily work the same for them.
I
know,
can
right?
help
They
them
gotta-
through some of those mistakes we made.
I
Yeah.
like
Free
to say
advice.
that part of the peer advisory thing with Loco is you can learn from other people's mistakes once in a while instead of just your own.
100%.
100%. Shorten that learning gap just a little bit.
Yeah.
The Loco experience is our final segment.
Yep.
It's the craziest story that you're willing to share.
Crazy experience. Oh man,
Could be a moment, could be a week, a year. I don't know.
we've had some wild ones. 2017 almost broke us. took us all the way to the bottom. We didn't get our H2B visa workers. It allowed us to 100% pivot. That helped.
What do you mean? Like you almost broke it because of not getting your workers in?
Yeah, we
or
were just
something?
too reliant on them. We were
Okay.
it was so normalized for us, and we were a young group. We were young guys, and it kind of almost, broke us.
They were like 70-some% of your.
yeah, we were,
Oh, because Trump cut
no,
things down at the time, or
it was nothing political. That
Okay.
time they just ran out of visa. It was a total crapshoot in 2017 why we didn't
Okay.
get them. We were one of the first ones that didn't get them ever because it used to be such an easy program to be on.
Okay.
Because they had the returning worker exemption. So
Yeah.
2017 almost took us down, and then
Did you scramble and hire other workers locally instead?
we did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Scramble hire locals. So we got through it. We learned. We grew. Best thing that ever happened to us on the other side
Right.
of it, right?
Right.
So secondary item is my wife asked me before I came down here, what are you going to say? And I was like, I'm not sure. She's like, well, most people wouldn't be surprised, but I'm 6'4", weigh 230 pounds. And last year, my brother and I did rim to rim to rim in the Grand Canyon. So
Oh, wow.
ran 46 miles across
Oh, dang.
the Grand Canyon and back. So
I was just telling somebody about one of our chapter members today, who's a former fireman, built like a linebacker, kind of your size,
yeah.
and he ran a marathon last year.
okay.
And I'm like, and he's, the farthest thing from built like a gazelle. So I appreciated his determination and yours, because
Yeah.
that's how long of a
That took us 17 hours.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Dude.
46 miles.
Do you
so.
run a lot still,
Um,
or you trained up a long time for that?
I did
probably?
last year. I ran a marathon last year.
Okay. Yeah, when a marathon is part of your training,
I was running a half marathon just randomly on like Thursday mornings before work. I'd get up at 2:30 in the morning and go run a half marathon and then go to work.
your knees are all good and stuff.
I'm still holding on. Yeah.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
Okay,
Long
all right.
term, probably not.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think this year we got our sights set on a 50 mile in November.
Okay.
So
One of my members is the Run Windsor organizer.
yeah. Yeah.
Mandy, you might know of
okay.
her.
Yep.
But they've got a Weld Your Metal. Is their 24-hour race coming up
Saw
here?
that.
Might be your style. I don't know.
That's maybe. I almost signed up for it if I'm being honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there's still time, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. May is not the best time to be running marathons and running a landscape business.
Well, it's not a marathon. It's like, isn't it like you just got to run like a mile or 5 miles every hour?
I think it's
for
2 miles.
24 hours,
Yeah,
2
yeah,
miles?
yeah. It's a 2 mile loop,
Yeah.
I think, is what I read.
Yeah, so you run 20 minutes, you sleep for 20, you wake back up, you run good for 24 hours or something.
That's a lot of running.
It's more about the mental, right?
Yeah, probably.
Because it's only, if it's 2 miles each time, that's only 48 miles
Yeah.
in 24 hours. Shit, that's
It's flat
Easy.
too.
Yeah, it's
I think
flat.
it's out and eating.
yeah, exactly. The
Yeah.
stars are gonna be beautiful.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, I'll tell Mandy you're signing up. Maybe we can
Maybe.
get Zak George Landscaping as one of our sponsors.
There you go.
You'd like it.
There you go.
You want to tell people how to find you if they have need of what you do?
Yep. ZakGeorgeLandscaping.com, spelled with Z-A-K.
Is that Zacchaeus or Zacharias or something? Or why is it Zach with a K?
There's not a K in my legal name, believe it or not,
Oh.
but that's how I've
just
spelled
did
it
it.
my whole life.
All right.
So,
All right.
ZakGeorgeLandscaping.com, ZG Landscaping on Instagram, and Mr_ZGL for my personal Instagram. So
Okay. All right. On
that's
brand.
it. That's it.
Hey, any questions for me before we disband this merry conversation?
No, had a great time.
All
Thanks.
right. Well, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Cheers.